Colin, Bill, Eddie, Steve Torrey, and of course our good buddy Matthew, the Penn State junior, right? Going to be a senior, June, whatever it is. He goes to Penn State. There you have it, the Nittany Lion. We got a lot to do. Let's spend a minute or two here on the draft and where we stand here as we are 4 days away from Thursday at 8 o'clock. What has been a very absorbing draft. Anytime that you have all these quarterbacks available who are good and we all have an idea who they are, and then you throw in the fact that there are 2 New York teams in the mix, that's a factor, don't deny it. The fact that who need quarterbacks, or at least one of them. The fact that you have had multiple trades, a lot of teams maneuvering. Buffalo maneuvered, the Jets maneuvered. The idea that you have the Browns, who are everybody's laughing stock at the top of the draft with a new GM. I mean, it's got all the ingredients, and then they got a running back out of Penn State who we've all watched play. It's got an incredible amount of ingredients to have really a phenomenal 4 or 5 day period here, and really a lot of juice come Thursday night. I mean, again, I will be in. I'm debating whether I should play tennis Thursday at 6 o'clock. If I do, I might miss the first couple minutes of the draft. That's what I'll tell you. So if I'm telling you that, then you know it's interesting, because I'm usually not a big draft guy at all. To me, it drives me crazy. We'll probably it's boring. I can't deal with all the nonsense. Tell me who you pick, and that's the end of it. This year, there's obviously a tremendous amount of intrigue. I hope none of these, analysts, quote unquote, or reporters break the story before, once Thursday comes at 6 o'clock, let it sit. All right, let it sit. Thursday at 6, let it sit. Let me find out. Let the play TV guy. Once it becomes a TV show, come 6 o'clock. You make a trade at 9 o'clock in the morning. You want to break it, I get that. But at 6 o'clock at night, 6:30, whatever it may, let it sit. Let it sit. Let us have a chance to absorb it and enjoy it. Don't spoil it 2 minutes before Goodell goes up there. Don't spoil it at 5 to 8. Well, blockbuster trade. Let the damn thing sit. Let the audience go out there, because there's a lot of anticipation when Goodell takes that microphone, and I like to really enjoy that actual anticipation, especially this year with all the intrigue with the positional scenario at the QB spot. So let it sit, and we'll see now what these teams do. It reports today that the Browns now like Darnold more than Josh Allen. You can make the argument, as I have made for a couple weeks, and I'm going to stick with it. I would never take a quarterback with the first pick if I was Cleveland this year. I would take the running back. I'm not interested in shelf life and all that nonsense. He's the best player. He's an impact guy. He's got 5 good football years in him, you would think. I understand ACLs. I get all that. But quarterbacks get hurt too. He's got 5 big years of football. Look at Aaron Rodgers. He's got 5 big years of football in him. Brady missed a year. I would think that you take him and then you can sit at number 4, get another quarterback, unless you really feel that one QB is heads and shoulders above the other 3. And I don't know why you would feel that way, because we have seen 3 of them play. We haven't seen Josh Allen play, but nobody's going to convince me, because Josh Allen looked good indoors in a pair of shorts and a tank top in Indianapolis, that all of a sudden he is some savior for a franchise. This is a guy who completed 56% of his passes. I know. And I get Wentz has all these teams spooked, because Wentz turned out to be great, and he played 5 games at North Dakota State his senior year with that broken hand. So I get the idea now that teams, especially Cleveland, that had a chance to draft Wentz and didn't, that all these teams are now freaked out that somehow Allen is another Carson Wentz, and by golly, I can't miss out on the second go-around with this kind of player. So he scares people. I get it. I understand. But from a perspective of where I stand with the Brownies, you are not going to sit there and tell me beauty's in the eye of the beholder. We're going to leave Allen aside for a minute. You can't tell me that you have decided that there is a differential between the 3 others, and you're going to get one of the 3, between Rosen. Even if you draft Barkley, you have the 4th pick. So two will be selected, but you'll have the chance to get the other one. And there is so many pluses and minuses with the three guys. If I leave Allen aside, I don't know where you can go wrong. You know, Mayfield was excellent in college. He won the Heisman Trophy. He's got a chip on his shoulder. I mean, everybody wants to compare him to Russell Wilson. You know, he is not a scrambler like Russell Wilson. He's not going to scramble for 20-yard gains. He is a scrambler in a Fran Tarkington mode where he'll buy time. There is a difference. But everybody loves what they've seen out of Mayfield. Chip on his shoulder helps. He completed 70% of his passes. I played in huge games, 2 Final Fours. So a lot of people love him. All right, fair. Those are the positives. Darnold is big. You know, USC, you know, he cuts the Hollywood figure. I mean, he seems like he's got a huge arm, had a huge bowl game against Penn State. And then, of course, Rosen, who might be the most advanced of the three of them with the way he reads defenses and, you know, accuracy and all those kinds of things. The negatives, you know what the negatives are. You know, Big 12 has not produced a lot of great quarterbacks in my eyes. He's small, Mayfield. He's not that. He's 6'1", barely. He's not tall. And throwing the idea that, no, I think it's a big deal. A lot of people don't. I do. Did not play well second half against Georgia. You want to blame it on Lincoln Riley and his play calling? That's part of it. But when there was a play to be made to win that semifinal game in a Rose Bowl, Mayfield could not make it. So that would bother me some. Biggest game he ever played in against a good defense, he did not respond. That would bother me. Now, a lot of people don't care about that because he scored 38 points in the game, 44-38 final. But that would bother me if I was drafting somebody. I want to know a lot about that game. So in the Big 12 quarterbacks, yes, I know that you know, Mahomes may turn out to be good for the Chiefs, and obviously you know, we'll see. They got rid of Alex Smith because of him, so maybe turns out to be good. But the Big 12 quarterback would concern me. Rosen, you know, he's had a lot of concussions. Maybe he doesn't quote unquote love football the way you'd want him to love football. So that would concern me some. He's been banged up a lot. The UCLA teams never did anything. Mora seems to have sort of a love-hate relationship with the kid. You know, I don't know. I know Dilfer didn't like him early, and then now when he went to his quarterback camp, and he was a complete pain in the neck, and then later on, 3 or 4 years later, Rosen and Dilfer had a great relationship, and now Dilfer thinks he's the best quarterback in the draft. Who knows? But, you know, there are issues with him. He'd be a little worried about the concussions. He had 2 last year. And then Darnold, who had 1 million turnovers. He had 36. I think he had, what do you have, about 40 turnovers in his career? Is that about right? Maybe 36. I know he had a bunch of fumbles and 17 picks. You'd have to tell me what he had from an interception fumble, but the turnovers would concern me. 20
interceptions, 21 fumbles.
21 fumbles, 22 interceptions. So that's 43 turnovers in the last 2 years?
27 starts.
27 starts, he's had 43 turnovers. That would concern you. No way around it. And, you know, they didn't play great as last year either. Awful at Notre Dame, not great against Ohio State. So that would concern you too. So there, and USC's quarterbacks never do anything. Leinart stunk. Carson Palmer underachieved. There's no way around that. And we all know about Sanchez. So that would concern me about the SC quarterback. So there are negatives and positives all the way around. That's why I would be very, very careful if I were the Browns. And I would not use, now I understand they have to come out of this draft with the quarterback. I get nobody. We all know that. Nobody's saying that they shouldn't draft one. And if they didn't have the 4th pick, I would draft one at number 1. So this is not an issue for me about the quarterback. They need to get a quarterback. The answer is not Tyrod Taylor. Don't get me wrong. But to me, with the opportunity to get one of the top 3 quarterbacks, which they would get, with the 4th pick, and the running back who's not touched by anybody. Don't let me hear about the LSU running back. Not touched by anybody, by any other back in the draft. And Barkley, who loves the game, played in the Fiesta Bowl when he didn't have to against Washington and played great. You know, catches the ball out of the backfield. Go watch that game against Iowa on that last drive when they came back and beat him. I mean, he's great athlete. To me, he's by far the best player in the country. I think it's a no-brainer myself. And you can't tell me they don't need a running back. And don't bring up running backs now with the draft. Leonard Fournette, 4th-round pick, had a great postseason and a good year. Obviously, we all know about Ezekiel Elliott. You could take a running back high, so I don't want to hear that either. If there was not the 4th pick available, I can understand laying low and taking the best quarterback and keep your fingers crossed at number 1. They can have, after the first 2 go, and, if Barkley goes to Cleveland, I do think the Giants would trade out. And then the Giants will, maybe try to move back in, trade out, maybe Buffalo, and then Buffalo takes a quarterback and the Jets take a quarterback, and then you get the next one. So let's say Donald and Allen go 2-3. Then you have a choice of Mayfield or Rosen. Let's see Donald. I think Donald will definitely go. Let's say it's Donald and Mayfield with 2-3. Then you have a choice of Allen and you have a choice of Rosen. Unless you feel that one is heads and tails above the other 4, and I don't know where the evidence is that makes you feel that. If you think it's Allen, when he completed 56% of his passes at Division I AA Wyoming, for crying out loud. If you think it's Donald, all these turnovers and a USC quarterback. If you think it's Rosen, well, we all know about concussions, and it wasn't like he is beloved. And if you think it's Mayfield, Big 12, and he's 6'1". So I can give you a million examples. So to me, there are a lot of flaws. There's no flaws with Barkley outside of the injury aspect. None. 0. Now, the Browns probably won't do this because I don't think they want to take a chance that the quarterback they take at 4 turns out to be a bust, and they lost the 2 quarterbacks prior who turned out to be great. So I understand that. See, the Brown negative here is if they end up with the 3rd choice, and that 3rd choice isn't very good, and the first 2 choices that the team that trades up with the Giants, because I don't think the Giants are taking a quarterback, and the Jets turn out to be Hall of Famers, well, then you look terrible. So I understand his risk. I understand his, and Barkley could be Jim Brown. If Donald and Allen turn out to be Hall of Famers and they go 2 to Buffalo, 3 to the Jets, and your quarterback Rosen turns out to be a disaster, you will get killed if you're John Dorsey. I get that. There is risk. But that's what I would do myself if I was running a team. Now, he probably won't, but that's what I would do. And as far as the Giants are concerned, there was a long time we all thought, everybody, not just me, everybody thought that there's no way the Giants could draft this high with an old quarterback there in Eli and not go out there and draft one of these 4 guys with that 2nd pick. Well, Gettleman's older. He's 65, 66 years of age. Obviously, and he has been quoted as saying he thinks Eli's got plenty left. Ernie Accorsi is the mentor to Gettleman, and Ernie, who we love here on this channel. Ernie said recently that he thinks Eli's got at least 2 years left. I think the Giants will draft Barkley if he's sitting there, and if not, I think the Giants are going to trade down a little bit and then draft the lineman from Denver. From Notre Dame, the guard. Now, that's risky because if Buffalo trades up with the Giants and gives the Giants the top 12th and 22, the Giants are going to have to trade back up with, say, to somewhere to make sure they go get that guard, because I think the Giants feel he's a Hall of Famer too. Now, he's a guard, which is, you need offensive linemen, don't get me wrong, but, guards are guards. They're not the most valuable member of your team. They're guards. But I think that's what the Giants will do if Barkley is taken by Cleveland. But I don't think he will be, so I think the Giants can take Barkley. But there's intrigue with this draft. New York got 2 teams in the top 3. You don't think that plays into this? You're crazy. You got 4 quarterbacks: USC, UCLA, Oklahoma. You don't think that plays into it? You're crazy. Plus an unknown guy in Allen. You got teams that need quarterbacks: the Bills, Arizona, maybe Denver. They got picks in the first round, multiple, some of them. You don't think that plays into it? You're crazy. Thursday at 8, all eyes are on the NFL. I don't care what they got going on in the other sports. 16 after the hour, we continue. Mad Dog.